Most people think they have an emergency action plan. This is a plan that when an emergency happens, these are the things to do. In reality, they don't. They actually have emergency supplies and feel comfortable about it. That's a start, but it's not the same thing. A plan actually answers questions that have not been asked yet, such as who picks up the kids, who gets the pets, where do we meet if we can't get home, what happens if power stays out overnight, and if those answers only exist in your head or worse, you've never thought about them, and that means you don't have a plan. Because the goal isn't to predict every emergency, it's actually to remove as many unknowns as possible before one happens. So that's what we're going to work on today. When people think about preparedness, they usually think about buying equipment. What equipment do I need now? What equipment do I need then? And while equipment is beneficial, emergencies don't begin with actual equipment. They begin with the decisions that you make based off of whatever the emergency is. Those decisions become much more harder when you're stressed, tired, scared, or even missing information. So writing a plan actually removes the uncertainty before the uncertainty arrives. So let's start with layer one, people. Start with the people. Who is actually part of your household, who depends on you, and who might depend on you even if they don't live with you. Now think about everybody's daily routine. Do they commute, travel for work, work nights, go to school, have medical needs? Because an emergency rarely happens when everybody's sitting in the living room watching TV. Layer two, responsibilities. Who is actually responsible for what? If someone has to evacuate quickly, who gathers the medications? Who secures the house? Who loads the vehicle? Who's responsible for the pets? Who checks on the elderly family members or neighbors? If nobody has assigned responsibility, then everybody else assumes that somebody else is handling it. Layer three, communication. My favorite. Ask yourself one question. If self-services disappear, what's the plan? Do you have an out-of-state contact, a meeting location, a backup meeting location, and do family members know where to leave messages? Can everyone communicate another way? Does this sound familiar? We've already built this in the communication plan. Communication failures create confusion long before they actually create panic. Number four is the home. Think about your house. Where would you shelter if leaving isn't possible? Where are your utilities and the shutoffs? Do you know how to shut them off? What about the water? What about electricity? What about gas? And do you have important documents gathered together? Would someone else actually know where they are? Layer five is actually the vehicle. This may be part of your emergency plan, especially as it is for ours when we deal with wildfires. But is it fueled? Can you or do you keep seasonal clothing in it? What about water? Basic tools? And could you actually spend an unexpected night in it if you had to? Many emergencies don't happen at home. They actually happen while you're trying to get back there. Case in point for my wife, she works in town. If she was to get back to here, it's a lot of stuff she's got to deal with if the need arises. Layer six is actually pets. People remember the dog food, but they often forget everything else, such as medications, vaccination records, leashes, carriers for the small ones, comfort items such as a blanket or pillow or their favorite toy because, hey, let's face it, they don't know what's going on. Do you actually have a destination that actually allows pets? And if your animals are actually part of your family, then they should be part of your plan. Now ask yourself a different question. What happens in the first 24 hours? Where will everybody sleep? How are you going to cook? How will you stay warm? What if the power stays out overnight? We've been through this several times in an icy winter, and unfortunately more than once. Preparedness isn't just surviving the event, but it's about managing what happens afterwards. Now, did you notice anything? None of these layers require expensive gear. Most of them actually require thinking. The best emergency plans aren't the ones with the most equipment. They're actually the ones where everybody already knows their role and the action items before the emergency begins. Listen, if you've never actually written out an emergency plan, don't try to finish it in one night. You'll just become frustrated. You can throw it into AI to help you build it, and I'll actually put a copy of mine that I've used for other people down below. At least start with one page and write down who's involved, what the priorities are, what each person needs to do, because you can always improve the plan, but you can't improve one that doesn't exist. These questions are the ones that we think of most often in our head, but they're never put down on paper so that everybody else is aware of them. We've talked about this several times in communications, but this goes a little bit further than just that. In the future, we'll actually go over these piece by piece by piece to try to help you to understand a little bit more, because it's not about predicting every emergency. It's actually removing as many unknowns that you have or could face before it happens.